It began as a design competition and developer-led competition in 2007. This part of San Francisco, which was a formerly industrial part of San Francisco, was conceived to be transforming into a multi-use neighborhood. The competition was for a transit center that was the demolition of an existing terminal that was built in the 1930s. It was intended to become the new hub for multimodal transit, buses, local muni, and ultimately the end terminal station of the high-speed rail line coming from Southern California to Northern California. And our team proposed that the top of the transit center would be a public park open to everyone all the time.
It was, trying to convey how we were going to build this giant park up on top of a, 5-block long bus station.
We also conceived of this park as having a large and continuous layer of soil and a large soil volume on it. The soil is able to hold stormwater in the ground, in the park level, and because it's all connected soil, all of the trees and the ecosystem that we have developed up here is able to knit together and work together below the ground level, even though the ground level is 70 or 80 feet above the ground level.
You need the soil volumes and the drainage and the grading and then the different structures that are up there, and then how to route the utilities through these buildings. It's 3 buildings that are all conjoined to make it look like one. It's a complex selection of what the materials are, primarily based on access. So we can start to modularize things where they can lift them up and they're pre-assembled and they can set them down on there, using the fundamentals of accessibility and what the different materials are, how readily they come, when they go up, what the sequencing of them is, and kind of putting that formula together. We were using Vectorworks to draw the super sections, the entire width and the entire length. So you're looking at the whole thing from the first initial systems that are happening in there, all the way up and over the hill, through the architecture, and then all the way to the other side of the rail. So we'd look at the whole system in there, and then we would start zooming in and detailing the specifics on that, so that all the different elements of the park would work, the different types of paving, the different types of planting, the different soil profiles, looking at it all in a graphic context.
San Francisco has a strong Victorian heritage, which you can see in the architecture of San Francisco, both in the residential architecture and the Victorian houses, but also in various communal spaces. One aspect of the Victorian era was plant displays, plant collection, and plant exhibitions. And so here, what we wanted to do was create a park that has special gardens as a part of it. And those special gardens are really meant to appeal to people, but also to animals. And so native California species are very important.
Like, that's the conundrum, right? Is like when you say you're doing a native California landscape, what's a native, and it's how far back you look on the time scale of things. It matters when you want to gauge that, because if you take native California landscape, like pre-Europeans, that's a lot different landscape than what it currently is today. We had some stuff down by the Mexican border, out into Arizona, up into Utah and Idaho, and then Washington and Oregon, and then of course California. There's the different themed gardens that we have up there where the plants are from South Africa or Europe and Asia. But we were still in the western region where we pulled all this stuff in. We did not import material from around the world. The plants may have come there at one point, but they were all grown within the region where we procured them from.
Programming and experience were 2 of the main aspects of the park that we thought about in the competition and when we were designing it. And one of the interactive aspects in the competition entry was an interactive fountain that was conceived initially by Ned Kahn, an environmental artist based here in the Bay Area. And he had the idea that buses on the bus deck, which is one level below the park, could trigger jets that would shoot off, water jets. So each bus, as it drives, triggers these sensors in the ceiling of the bus deck level that then shoot off jets up on the roof that move at the speed of the bus. There's one jet every 4 feet. Buses are about 40 feet long, so it's 8 to 10 jets that register as the bus moves, and as they move, as the bus moves, the jet moves. So if the bus slows down or stops, the jets go at one location. As it moves, the jets run down the park. What we were able to do here is create a place where people really notice nature, and they come and they talk about the relationship between the urban environment and constructed landscapes. When people are here, they have an experience that's created by the light and the shade, the color of the leaves, the texture of the bark, the flying insects, and birds that come by them, but also the people that are there, the people doing activities in the plaza, and the kinds of activities and program that are available to them up here, as well as moments of learning and moments of understanding that we hope are made clearer through reading and looking at the images of our signage program that describes what they see around them and some things that they don't see but that is going on, inside of the design. Is something that's been pretty amazing. If you walk behind people as they walk around the half-mile path that runs around the park, people of all kinds are talking and saying things about how they didn't understand or realize that something like this could happen on a building. As we get further and further down the road of a changing landscape and a changing climate, the things that we do need to be integrated designs, and they need to be thinking about how we can make the most in dense areas so that we don't keep making the least out of more expanded areas.